much for clicking on my video. And if you're returning, welcome back to my channel. Today, for our Movies with Meghan, we're going to be watching Lifetime's Harry and Meghan, A Royal Romance. Let's get into it. Once again, thank you so much for clicking on my video. If you have not already, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I post a new video. I want to go ahead and say a huge hello to the friend circle, and I'm going to curtsy to the royal court. Thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate everything you do. If you're interested in becoming a member, feel free to hit that join button so that you can get access to exclusive perks and exclusive content. So today we're going to be talking about Lifetime's Harry and Meghan, A Royal Romance. I have not seen this movie before. I love Lifetime movies, but I do veer away from biopics when the people are still young and alive. And it's just because I feel like sometimes the storytelling will be a little bit more inhibited because they are still alive and they could sue and it's kind of a thing. But when people are kind of older and they're in that, like their twilight years and they're in that reflective time, a lot of times they let a lot more stuff slide or they're a lot more honest. Look at Wendy Williams. So I usually don't watch biopics, but I'm glad I got a chance to watch this one. So this movie is a movie, and I want to be mindful because I do share like updates on the actual Meghan and Harry, and then I also do recaps on movies either that Meghan is starring in or that is related to Meghan and Harry in some way. And so I want to go ahead and put a disclaimer on this. First, I'm only recapping the movie. I am not telling their love story. I'm just recapping the movie based on their love story. But what I will do is I will, at the end of my recap, share a few fact-checking tidbits. Now, I won't be able to get everything 100%, down to like what exactly happened and what they were wearing and blah, blah, blah. But I will do some fact-checking on some of the bigger moments in the movie. But again, we are only recapping the movie, not retelling history. So, but I did find that the movie was, for the most part, pretty accurate. It was very well shot. I thought it was really good. There were a few shots that you could tell were stock footage and like instead of B-roll. And it kind of was a distraction, I'm not gonna lie, because with the whole movie, it looks a certain way, and then they go and get this stock footage, and then they kind of just plop it down in the middle, and you can tell because it looks different. But unless you're looking for something, then you probably won't even notice it. So I'm gonna start off with the actual actors. The lady playing Meghan is Parisa Fitz-Henley. She did an excellent job. She got the mannerisms right. She got like the mouth structure and lip placement right, the looks right. She kind of had that tone and that energy that Meghan embodies, just kind of that fun and playful and just super carefree energy that Meghan kind of shows. She got that down. She did a really good job. I love that what she did with the character, since this is a real person, she didn't try to make it a character. She tried to embody the person, and it does read through on camera. She did a great job. As for the person playing Prince Harry, Murray Fraser, I am a happily married woman. My husband is the end all be all as far as men go. He is absolutely perfect. While watching this film, I was distracted because Murray, I was like, hello, Murray. Hi. You're an actor, huh? Just kidding. No, listen. They cast really well for everybody in this movie. They did a great job, except for how they did William, but we'll get to that. But Murray Fraser did an excellent job. Excellent job. Both the mains, they embodied the character. Here's the thing, because Meghan and Harry are so well covered by the media. Well, I don't say so well covered, but they're everywhere in the media. you start to kind of pick up on their mannerisms, their habits, the way they move, the way they speak, the way they carry their jaw, their gait, how they walk, all of that. You start to just kind of recognize it and know it to be theirs. So one of the things that I worry about when watching any biopic is if I've seen the real person too many times, I'll get distracted by small little things and I won't be able to look past the nuances, because if they're not hitting the target, I'm like, this ain't Harry. Harry don't eat like that. Harry don't smile like that. Like the whole time I was afraid that the whole time I would be just like inaccurate. But actually, for the most part, he did a great job. According to me, he did a great job. Now, again, this is Murray Fraser. They did switch out the cast a couple of times in some of the sequels. We're only talking about A Royal Romance today, but we're going to get into those sequels. So let me also say the William character, the adult William character, Burgess Abernathy, nothing against that man at all. He seems like a delight. He actually brought a lot of fun to William's character, because William doesn't read like that in real life. Every, appearance, interview, whatever, William reads a lot like Charles, just kind of like dead behind the eyes, bored, would rather be somewhere else. This is beneath me, kind of like this arrogant vibe. And I don't know the person in real life. I'm saying just the way he reads on camera, he would rather be anywhere else. Burgess Abernathy, he made William seem fun and exciting, and not exciting, but he made him seem fun and relatable and energetic in some ways, but funny. He seemed to always have like a 1-2 punch and like a couple of one-liners. As far as Laura Mitchell, she portrayed Kate. There were moments where she seemed really warm, and there were moments where she seemed like a really great wife and sister-in-law and friend to Meghan. And then there were other times where she somewhat came off snobby and judgmental. And I will say Laura Mitchell by selecting Laura Mitchell to portray Kate, they were really kind to Kate. While she does bear a very strong resemblance, her energy was just so positive and in a warm way. She was very warm to watch, and she wasn't just kind of like nails on a chalkboard, just kind of brash. And I feel like sometimes Kate can come off extremely inauthentic with like her laugh and like, like she'll do a laugh and she'll kind of, I don't know, like, for example, when the lady in Ireland was shaking her hand and kind of speaking her piece, and Kate just goes, like she didn't hear, it's like, what's behind the ears? Now there's a way to deflect from that. There's a way to move around that and maneuver around that. And she's never tone appropriate. She doesn't tone match well. She's always just kind of like and so Laura Mitchell did not come off that way. Laura Mitchell seemed warm and inviting and fun, and even when she had to play some of the bitchy scenes, which I'm not 100% sure those were fabricated, when she had to do those things, the character itself had to do those things, but the energy still didn't match that. She still seemed really warm. So I think the casting was great. Prince Charles' character looked a lot like him. Queen Elizabeth's character did look a lot like her. So back to the story. So we open up with Harry. It's right after Princess Diana's funeral, and they show him being distraught. And it's during that trip that Prince Charles took William and Harry on to Africa right after Queen Elizabeth died. And while they're there, Harry is just still not processing this well at all. When they get out of the car or the automobile, and Charles is reflecting with Harry and William, Harry is just kind of like, why'd you make us run behind the coffin? And Charles is like, it's your duty, and it's what the public wanted to see, and blah, blah, blah. And Harry just runs off. And so Charles is like, no, Harry, go back. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they usually have security everywhere they go? Like, wouldn't security have just been like to kind of grab him or snatch him or whatever? He portrays it is that Harry goes and finds a tree, he cries underneath the tree, and he starts to reflect on these really sweet moments with Princess Diana. One of which is when Princess Diana got when she got the staff to sneak her and Harry some food so that they can eat some hot dogs and little snacks together privately before this big banquet that was coming up. And it's just basically him seeing his mother beyond the public persona and seeing who his mother really was, like her energy, her spirit, her sweetness, and even her naughty side, and just like fun things like that. And so we're relating to Harry in this moment, and we look up and there's a lion. And so Harry, in some way, later it explains in the movie that Harry thinks that this is his mother reincarnated. And so Charles is trying to shoot the lion, and he pulls out his gat. And at that point, Harry deflects the rifle and doesn't let him shoot the lion. The lion doesn't attack, and the lion walks off. It's a very powerful moment. We skip over to Meghan, who is playing with her dolls. Now, listen, we have talked about Meghan being a feminist. We have talked about her being progressive and just being an aid to society by the things that she champions and the moves that she makes. And we do know that she was an advocate since she was 11 years old, starting with the soap commercial. So it's no shock that they wanted to incorporate that, but they literally took that part of her personality and made it her whole human being as a child. Meghan had the dolls playing and the woman doll told the man doll, I'm going to work. And then the man doll was like, well, I'm going to stay here and have dinner ready when you get home. And she was like, you're my hero. I was like, I love Lifetime, but y'all be trying it. Y'all are so dramatic. But anyway, when I saw that scene, I was laughing so hard. And then they cut over to Meghan after she's done playing dolls. She sees the commercial. We kind of have this moment. And she goes over to her father, Thomas Markle. And the actor they got to play Thomas Markle, let me see if I can find his name. But the actor that they got to portray Thomas Markle was Trevor Lerner. That is the best Thomas Markle has ever looked. He needs to be very grateful to Lifetime for casting Trevor Lerner. Trevor is a handsome man, a nice big old burly handsome man. And I looked at him and I was like, well, this isn't Thomas. The body type was the same, the race was the same, but this was not. And the way he carried himself, he was a debonair man. And I thought, wow, they really did him a favor. The casting was excellent in this movie, except for with William. We'll get there. They really did William. The guy that they got, again, Burgess Abernathy was just positive and all that, but he doesn't look like William. He looks much older than William looked at that time. So anyway, so we see them as children, but then we skip to their adulthood and we see Harry in Vegas, I'm assuming, and he is a wild boy. I said, Murray, get off that table. Stop. You crazy. And then they shoot over to Meghan, and she's portraying Rachel Zane on Suits, and she's actually in the moment advocating for herself on the set of Suits, where they try to get her to play, they try to get her next scene to portray her in a towel. And they give her this little quirk that she's supposed to do, where she's like, over her shoulder or whatever. And she goes over to the director and she was like, this feels a bit gratuitous. If Rachel is just now leaving court and going home, why would she ever be wearing a towel? Why would she shower in the middle of the day? And they were like, okay, can we compromise? Can she wear a robe? And she was like, no, she should be wearing a suit, i.e. the name. And so they said they would work with her on it. And so it just showed in small ways that Meghan always uses her voice. So flash forward, Meghan is going to London for a Suits, promotional appearance or something. And she's talking to, I think it's her assistant, but it's her friend. And her friend is like, I kind of want to set you up with someone. And she tells him all these things. He's rich, he's well connected, blah, blah, blah. And Meghan goes, but is he nice? And she's like, yes, he's very nice. And she goes, okay, why not? It can't hurt. Then we see this same friend walking with Prince Harry on a red carpet. And on the red carpet, she tells Prince Harry, I want to set you up with someone. And he's like, is she hot? And she was like, yeah, she's an actress, blah, blah. And he was like, okay, fine. It doesn't hurt. Now, we get up to the meeting scene, which I read this, and I can't remember the name of the book. Was it in Finding Freedom? Yes, I read about this meetup, the first meetup in Finding Freedom. And it's pretty close to what we saw in Finding Freedom. But what we read in Finding Freedom. But basically, Harry goes, he tells the security, let me go in here, meet this lady, and then you come in and act like there's been an emergency and I have to go. It gives her, let me spend enough time to make her feel important enough so she can go back and tell her friends, I met a prince, the usual. So we get the hint that this happens a lot. People set Prince Harry up with their friends so that the friends can now have a story like, I once went on a date with a prince and blah, blah, blah. But they're not really interested in a connection. They're not really interested in him as a man. So the movie portrays him being 40 minutes late. And when he rolls up on Rachel Zane, when he rolls up on Miss Meghan, Meghan was like, he starts complimenting her right away, and we see like the moment where he's like, oh, future wife. Before she even responds, she's like, you realize you're 40 minutes late? But the way she does it, this actress was really good. Parisa Henley, she did a great job because she portrayed the same little energy that you see in Meghan's interviews and all that. Like, she's got that same kind of bubbly personality where she did it. She like kind of schooled him on time management without being rude about it, but she was very direct. So his security comes in to do the shtick, like, you know, we've got an emergency. Meghan's like, what kind of emergency? And he goes, well, London Bridge is, and she goes, it's falling down. I immediately, in the moment, I couldn't focus because I was like, bullshit, they wouldn't have said that, because that's the code for when Queen Elizabeth was going to pass. It was the code passed around is London Bridge is falling. At least that's what I've always read. So they wouldn't have said that in jest or in like that wouldn't have been, that has to be taken seriously. And so anyway, the movie uses it as this quip. And I'm sure Americans made this movie. I'll find out and let you know. But anyway, they probably weren't banking on people knowing that. So Harry at that point is like, actually, I want to stay. And so he stays with Meghan. He was like, I'm sure they can figure it out. The bridge is ugly anyway. And I was like, damn, London Bridge is literally chilling. And it just got read down by Prince Harry. So anyway, we see them go and have the rest of this date. It's amazing. He goes up to her room. They just spend time talking. They talk all night. And then she has to go back to Toronto. And he has to go back to his life. And it's just kind of like, well, this was so nice. This was great. Later, he surprises her with a trip to Botswana. He's like, can we have our second date? I want to, do a trip to Botswana. And so they go to Botswana together. And it's there that, they make whoopee. And they sleep together. And let me say, this is the first scene of them sleeping together, and it's pretty early in the movie. But the entire movie, I think the creators of this movie, the director, recognized the very clear and present chemistry between Murray Fraser and Parisa Fitz-Henley. They really had good chemistry, and they consistently made them sleep together. This whole movie was just Meghan and Harry getting it on. Like, I was just kind of like, yes, I'm aware that they probably make relations. They have relations. They're adults with children and they're married. So I assumed, I just never gave it any thought. And this movie is just like, they be doing it right. I think the movie just wanted to make sure we remembered, like, they have sexual organs that work. And I'm just like, movie. Okay, I get it. But they had a lot of chemistry. The whole movie, I kind of just got wrapped up in the movie. I really didn't. I knew the movie was about, and I knew what to expect. But to be fair, these two had such great chemistry. I actually got a chance to just get swept up in the movie, and I loved that. I wasn't thinking about it too much. I just got to enjoy the movie. And so the movie reminds us 1,000,001 times that they do it. And they do it a lot. And so I was like, okay, movie. Like, I was literally like, Murray, put your shirt on. Okay, let's move on. So anyway, this movie is really good. It's just so funny because it's Lifetime. And it's just a lot of sex. And they're not gratuitous with it at all. So you don't see anything and it's not explicit, but it's just so often. And there's a lot of car scenes and a lot of sex scenes. So it's like 4 or 5 sex scenes in this movie. And so we see them kind of start to build their romance and keep it secret. But we also get a chance to see how the paparazzi just descended on Meghan and her family and how they kind of forced their hand of coming out about their relationship. And we saw, like, the movie portrays this big argument between Meghan and Harry where the palace, confirmed their relationship. But the whole time, Meghan had been told not to let her family confirm it. And so Meghan was like, okay, so we're not good enough to confirm the truth. And I had to let my family miss out on money and opportunities for themselves. But your family gets the final say. I don't appreciate that. So she was really upset in the movie about this fact. And she was really upset that she felt like the statement that he released, that the palace released, was in some parts, it kind of made her seem like a damsel in distress, and she found it insulting. So she goes off on Harry in this big explosive moment. She breaks up with him, and then when he leaves, Murray left. He was so cute walking out of there. I said, oh, bye, Murray. Where are we going next? But when he left, Doria, the woman who plays Doria, was so beautiful. Doria pulls her to the side, and her mother, Doria Ragland, pulls her to the side, and she tells her, like, hey, he's been through a lot, and so his need to protect you probably stems from his trauma, and so it's not an insult to you, it's him wanting to protect you. And then she showed Meghan clips of Harry walking behind his mother's coffin, and I don't understand the correlation, but she was like, the paparazzi have been a big part of his life in a negative way his entire life, and so he's just trying to protect you. And so Meghan is like, I need to go get my guy. And so they get in the car. Now keep in mind, they get in the car and they drive off to the airport, and Meghan was like, but what about the paparazzi? And Doria said, we'll run them over if we have to. And I screamed. I was like, them minding their business, taking a photo. Well, not minding their business. And she's just kind of like, I see 75 speed bumps, if you will. And so I love that part. I doubt that happened. So in this dramatic moment, Meghan runs to the airport, stops his private plane, and they have this dramatic reconnection. That was a very dramatic moment that was right smack dab in the middle of the movie. It was a conclusion, but it's in the middle of the movie. So they depict Meghan and Harry and Pippa's wedding, and they show this moment where Charles stands up for Meghan because Pippa uninvited her last minute, and because of Charles, Meghan got to go to the wedding. And they show a lot of this other random character named Stella, who tried to intimidate Meghan and allude to a relationship between her and Harry, and maybe kind of insinuate Harry wasn't honest with Meghan. Then there's this other moment where they portray Kate as revealing her pregnancy to Meghan before mostly everybody, even her ladies in waiting. What else? There's a lot of these moments that they're like, we got to get as much of these headlines into this movie stat. And that's the way it read. But overall, it was a beautiful love story. And it ended with their proposal, with their engagement. Now, before I continue, when they asked the Queen's permission, the Queen Elizabeth character, she looked a lot like Queen Elizabeth. But when they asked for Queen Elizabeth's permission, Queen Elizabeth also, like, she relates to Meghan a lot. And she takes Meghan to look at a portrait of Queen Charlotte. The portrait in the palace is one of the only ones that are depicted honestly, that don't hide her heritage, that she was mixed race. And in this scene, she tells Harry, like, yes, Harry, I am mixed race. This whole ass white woman says, yes, Harry, I am mixed race. You are mixed race. And so now we know, Harry is a black man, strong black man. And so from this point forward, I can't unthink that. I'm just like, okay, so strong black man Harry and Meghan go to tea. Like, I can't get it out of my head, because she really looked across at this ginger, this very white man, the whitest man in the world, and said, you are mixed race. Now listen, I understand, who Queen Charlotte was, and that she was biracial, and that, yes, that is part of their heritage. It's just so funny because it's so far removed from them now that the movie depicted it as if she would have just said, listen, your real father is a black man I keep down in the basement. Let me show him to you. Like, you would have just thought we are mixed race. Like, that Harry and Queen Elizabeth are just black. And so I guess he is a strong black man in this movie. So good for Harry. But no, in all fairness, I understand what they were trying to do. It just came across very exaggerated, and I laughed so hard. I didn't take it too seriously. I laughed so hard. I said that was very exaggerated. So overall, the movie was really good. It had a lot of good scenes. There were a lot of factual moments in there that they did include, and then there were some that were gratuitous. So to get to the fact checking, I've pulled from Marie Claire, who did their own fact checking on this movie, as well as People Mag. I know. So first, one of the true things that was in the movie. Prince Charles took Harry and William on a trip to Africa after their mother, Princess Diana, died. That is true. And it goes on to say, the opening scene shows a young Harry and William in Africa with their father, Prince Charles, right after the death of Princess Diana. They went to escape the cameras and the paparazzi. Quote, I first came in 1997, straight after my mom died. My dad told my brother and me to pack our bags. We were going to Africa to get away from it all. Harry told Town and Country, in 2017 in an interview. Quote, "This is where I feel more like myself than anywhere else in the world. I wish I could spend more time in Africa. I have the intense sense of complete relaxation and normality here." Well, obviously he's black. So anyway, according to the movie. All right, the next fact checking. Harry was a party boy right before he met Meghan. False. Prince Harry definitely went through a party boy phase, but it wasn't right before he met Meghan. A 17-year-old Harry spent one day in rehab after getting caught for underage drinking, and he's been splashed across the tabloid pages on numerous occasions, like the time he wore an unseemly costume or was spotted naked in a hot tub in Vegas. But in the years leading up to meeting Meghan, his social life had actually calmed down, and he spent a lot more time focused on his charity work. All right, next fact. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were set up on a blind date. True. It's speculated that Violet von Westenholz, a mutual friend of Meghan and Harry, is the one who set up the soon-to-be newlyweds. This was before they got married when this came out. The two have never officially confirmed who brought them together, but they have said it was definitely a blind date. In their first interview after announcing their engagement, they talk about how they knew absolutely nothing about each other before meeting on their first date. Next fact. Harry threatened to tweet out the statement that he wrote. False. In the scene in which Prince Harry wrote a personal statement asking the paparazzi to respect Meghan's privacy, he gives an ultimatum. If the palace doesn't release the statement, then he's going to tweet about it. Sorry, my microphone. If the palace doesn't release a statement, then he's going to tweet about it. However, none of the royals have their own personal Twitter accounts or any social media for that matter. In fact, Meghan had to delete all of her accounts shortly after she and Harry were engaged. Next fact, Meghan wasn't invited to Pippa Middleton's wedding. False. Yes, it's true that Meghan didn't attend Kate Middleton's sister's wedding ceremony, but she was invited to Pippa's black tie reception, unlike the movie portrayal. The movie also mentions a no ring, no bring rule, which was reportedly true for the ceremony, but not the reception. Since Harry hadn't popped the question, Meghan couldn't come to the ceremony, but she was definitely at the party. Also, it was said Pippa didn't want to be upstaged by Harry and Meghan on her big day, and that most certainly would have happened. Next fact, a royal relative wore an offensive brooch. I remember this. True. While it didn't happen at Pippa's wedding as depicted in the movie, a royal relative did wear an offensive brooch to the Queen's annual Christmas lunch, which was attended by Meghan in December of 2017. Princess Michael of Kent, the wife of the Queen's first cousin, was pictured arriving at Buckingham Palace wearing a brooch on her left shoulder, which appeared to be a blackamoor jewelry, depicting the bust of a black person with a gold crown and a colorful crystal. The brooch drew further criticism due to Meghan's biracial background. Her mother is black, her father is white, and the fact that Princess Michael chose to wear it on a day Meghan was being introduced to many extended royal family members for the first time. Princess Michael of Kent released a statement following the incident that read, "The brooch was a gift and has been worn many times before. Princess Michael is very sorry and distressed that it has caused offense." Next fact, Harry and Meghan wore matching bracelets. True. Just like in the movie, Harry did give Meghan a bracelet that matched his own. The couple started sporting his and hers jewelry early on in their relationship. They were spotted wearing the same blue beaded bracelet on several occasions. Prince Harry reportedly picked up the bracelet during one of his trips to Africa, and the gift rarely left the actress's wrist. She even posted several photos on her now deleted Instagram account showing off her sweet trinket. Next fact, Harry's public statement led to a breakup. False. While the movie insinuates that Meghan was in the dark about Harry's rare public statement in November of 2016, that confirmed that he was dating the actress and slammed what he called the racist and sexist abuse she had endured since their relationship was revealed. Meghan was most likely fully supportive of that decision, and it didn't lead to a brief breakup as depicted in the movie. Since it was such a rare move for a royal family member to release a statement about their private life, Meghan would have been briefed about the statement at length before it was released. Next fact, a member of Harry's inner circle tried to intimidate Meghan. False. Good for them. Because I wasn't feeling that. The character of Annabella, played by Marley Collins, doesn't exist in real life. The royal interloper who chided Meghan about her TV career, biracial background, and even her biological clock did represent a lot of criticism the couple was facing when they took their relationship public. Yeah. All right, last fact. Meghan is not the first biracial royal. True. Although it's doubtful that the Queen showed Meghan a portrait of Queen Charlotte, a biracial royal, during the palace visit, she is in fact a real royal. Queen Charlotte of Mecklenburg-Strelitz, child, we'll be here all day, don't wait on me, was married to King George III and was queen for nearly 60 years until she died in 1818. She's the grandmother of Queen Victoria and the great-great-great-great-grandmother of the current Queen Elizabeth. Though she was born in Germany, the daughter of a duke, Queen Charlotte was directly descended from Margarita de Castro y Sousa, which was the black branch of the Portuguese royal house. Her racial background wasn't known to the public when she served as queen. It was only discovered many years after her death, thanks to art historians who studied portraits of Charlotte more closely. So that's just a couple of the fact checking. Obviously, I'm not going to get all of them, but I just wanted to make sure I included as much fact checking as I could, since this is a movie, yes, but we are recapping a movie about a real couple. So lastly, I'm going to end off on 4 Rotten Tomato comments of people who watched it and critical reviews. So first, we're going to start with Robert Rourke. He is from the New York Post. He said, aside from the historical overreach, the movie's inherent cheesiness was partly redeemed by a gallant performance by Fraser as the earnest Harry. He did do a good job. Han Nagayan from IndieWire, and they say, Harry and Meghan firmly stand behind that narrative and the central romance is richer for it. Next up, this review is from Amy Nicholson with The Guardian, and she says, Harry and Meghan, a royal romance, is engineered for sarcastic snickers. It lets Fitz Henley and Fraser sell the audience on this history-making romance while crowding the corners with tiny jokes. Okay. And lastly, I've got a review from Caitlin Menza with Cosmopolitan, and she says, a royal romance, which premiered just 6 days before the big day, is precisely what you want it to be. Juicy, romantic, and slightly ridiculous. It's really not a terrible way to spend 2 hours of your life. So there you have it. So if you've seen this movie, please tell me what you thought. I enjoyed it. So aside from some of the things that, we had to correct and some of the comments that I've made about it, the movie itself, packaged, signed, sealed, delivered, I thought was a great movie. I enjoyed it. If it wasn't about 2 real people that I'm very well aware of and access to their information and access to fact check all this, I would personally just enjoy the movie. The movie itself, the story, the ups and downs, all of it, very well done. I'm so excited to watch the 2 sequels behind this. So please tell me if you've seen this movie, what you thought, what are some pros, what are some cons, any other facts that we missed, because I only shared a few. So feel free to leave in the comment section below what facts that they got wrong. Put them in the comments below. So anyway, please let me know what your rating would be. Out of 1 to 5, how would you rate this movie? Again, Harry and Meghan, a royal romance. It is available. It's a Lifetime movie. It's available for free on Amazon Prime, which is where I watched it. Once again, I really appreciate all of the support. If you have not already, please feel free to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on that notification bell. I want to go ahead and say thank you so much to all of the moderators for all of your hard work. I really appreciate it. And Black Queen, I really appreciate you. You have been making it to nearly all, I think all of my premieres and lives. So thank you so much for your help. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone else who has been a big part of the channel and supporting the channel. Well, that's all I've got for you today. If you're interested in becoming a member, feel free to hit the join button below, and I will see you next time. Bye.